Everything goes silent. The low hum of the modern world simply stops. That is the moment the illusion shatters. We cannot survive without the invisible power keeping us alive. A massive solar storm slams into the atmosphere. There is no physical explosion, just a silent surge of raw current flooding the power grid. The massive transformers running our cities melt from the inside out. There are no spares sitting in a warehouse. When they die, the trucks stop bringing food. The water stops flowing to your tap. Civilization is just a fragile machine, and the power was just cut. This is the exact timeline of a total apocalyptic collapse. The year was 1859. The sun hit Earth with a massive coronal mass ejection. History remembers it as the Carrington event. The electromagnetic energy surging through the atmosphere was violent. Telegraph operators were physically shocked by their own equipment. Sparks flew from the terminals. Telegraph paper spontaneously caught fire right on the desks. Operators even disconnected their batteries. They continued transmitting messages using only the raw auroral current. Back then, it merely fried a few primitive communication wires. A direct hit today is a civilization resetting event. The terror of a massive solar storm is completely silent. It leaves buildings standing and bridges intact. The true threat is a geomagnetically induced current. This is a massive, quasi-direct current. Our modern grid is built strictly for alternating current. It cannot handle this foreign energy. The current enters the grid through grounded neutral wires. It hunts for the nodes of the system. It floods the massive extra-high voltage transformers. These transformers are the ultimate bottlenecks of human survival. Each one weighs up to 400 tons. They take up to 3 years to custom build. There is no global backup stockpile waiting to save us. When the direct current hits the transformer, the core saturates. The magnetic field violently escapes the laminated steel core. It slams into the surrounding structural metal tank. Temperatures inside the machine instantly spike over 400 degrees Celsius. The dielectric mineral oil meant to cool the system literally boils. The cellulose paper insulating the copper coils chemically degrades. Then comes the catastrophic internal arcing. The copper melts from the inside out. The transformer destroys itself. In a matter of minutes, the global grid is lobotomized. The massive steel towers are still physically standing, but the transformers connecting them are dead metal. The nervous system is permanently gone. There is no reboot button. The true countdown to total collapse has officially started. It starts 12 hours before the blackout. Deep space satellites detect the massive plasma cloud. Warnings hit government desks immediately. They have hours to attempt a global grid shutdown, but coordinating that at a global scale is mathematically impossible. Then day 1 hits. The blackout sweeps across the planet. Emergency generators roar to life at hospitals and military bases. The public assumes it is just a temporary outage. They wait for the utility trucks to roll out. They do not realize the utility companies are crippled forever. By day 3, the illusion completely shatters. The emergency backup generators burn through their finite fuel reserves. The global supply chain grinds to an absolute halt, and the bottleneck starts at the gas station. Millions of gallons of fuel sit perfectly preserved underground, but you cannot physically get to it. Modern gas stations rely on submersible turbine pumps. A 220-volt electric motor pushes the liquid up the pipe. When the grid dies, that motor stops spinning. The pressure drops instantly. A heavy, spring-loaded check valve snaps shut. This traps the fuel deep underground to prevent backflow. Without electricity to spin the pump and force that valve open, the fuel is permanently sealed beneath the concrete. No fuel means the diesel delivery trucks stop running. Grocery stores are stripped bare in a matter of hours. There are no restocks coming. Even residential solar panels become entirely useless. Grid-tied inverters are built with strict anti-islanding protection. They are programmed to search for the 60 Hz hum of the main grid. If they do not detect it, they automatically shut down. This is designed to protect utility workers from live wires. But with the main grid dead, your panels produce nothing. The trucks are dead. The food stops moving. But starvation takes weeks to kill. Something else is going to kill in a matter of days. By week 2, the crisis shifts from logistical to biological. An average city requires 100 gallons of water per person every single day. This massive volume of water does not naturally flow into urban centers. It is forced through miles of pipeline by massive electric pumps. Modern cities pull their supply from distant reservoirs, lakes, or deep underground aquifers. High-lift centrifugal pumps act as the mechanical heart of this system. They run on massive amounts of continuous, high-voltage electricity. They pull millions of gallons of water and push it into the city mains. When the grid dies, this mechanical heart immediately stops beating. The momentum of the water grinds to a sudden halt. The vast network of underground pipes immediately loses its pressure. Taps across the entire city go completely dry. But a lack of running water is only half the threat. When the pressure in the municipal mains drops to zero, a physical vacuum forms. This vacuum triggers violent back siphonage throughout the city. It sucks raw groundwater, industrial runoff, and untreated sewage directly into the drinking supply. Any water remaining in the underground pipes becomes a lethal cocktail of disease. Without clean water, cholera and dysentery vectors explode in urban centers. Meanwhile, a much darker threat unfolds at nuclear power plants. Nuclear reactors require external grid power to run their massive coolant pumps. Even after an emergency shutdown, the nuclear core generates extreme decay heat. Without the grid, these plants rely on finite emergency diesel generators. Those on-site generators hold enough fuel for 3 to 7 days. Once they run dry, the coolant stops flowing completely. The spent fuel pools begin to boil off into the atmosphere. We face the statistical reality of multiple, simultaneous core meltdowns. There is no government cavalry coming to stop this. Civilization is locked in a fatal interdependency trap. To rebuild the power grid, you need heavy machinery, factories, and transportation. But to run heavy machinery, factories, and transportation, you need the power grid. Humanity is completely paralyzed. By month 1, the psychological shock gives way to raw survival. The transition from a modern electrified life is brutally final. The grocery stores were stripped bare weeks ago. There is nothing left to loot. People devolve from citizens into desperate scavengers. They hunt through abandoned homes for forgotten canned goods. Starvation and dehydration begin claiming millions of lives. Violent crime explodes over the last remaining drops of clean water. There is no emergency dispatch left to call. Dense urban centers rapidly turn into concrete mass graves. Humanity violently regresses to its most primitive operating system. Brutal, localized tribes form overnight. Isolated communities wall themselves off to protect whatever scraps remain. The globalized network is completely dead. The massive steel skyscrapers still stand untouched. but they are simply useless monuments to a buried era. We are forced to face a cold, mechanical truth. Society is only one catastrophe away from collapsing,